one book. So it's either going to work or it's going to frustrate the heck out of you because it's not one book specifically. So one of the things I was trying to do in it was either say, here's the artwork, here's where I was in my career, here's what I was thinking about, or here's the artwork, here's what I was going through my brain creatively at that moment. And it's interesting, I've done a couple interviews and people go, are you kind of shy or sort of wince from some of the early stuff that's in there? And the answer is absolutely not. And here's why. The stuff that I'm showing you that I did when I was 16, that was as good as I was at 16. I mean, that was it. It's like literally like taking, like this guy here, taking photos of you. So at 16, those images, it was a snapshot of my skill. And then later on at 20, there's a snapshot of my skill. And all I'm doing is showing you these snapshots all the way through my career. What I'm hoping for, if there's any aspiring artists, or if you guys know any aspiring artists, one of the things that drove me was the guys that were really good. I adored them, but I knew I would never take their spot, right? The guys that really sort of got my blood flowing and motivated, besides the guys who were really good, and I was like, oh, they're cool, but it was actually the guys that were sort of super mediocre that were down here, because those are the guys that I thought that someday I could maybe take their job, right? You never look at Frank Miller, you never look at John Byrne, or you never look at Jim Lee and go, I'm going to take their job. It's that guy down here, and you go, his eyes are crooked. It looks like he's got bananas with fingers. I can draw faces with crooked eyeballs and banana fingers. So those are the inspirations. So what I'm hoping for, if you give that book to anybody, especially an aspiring artist, tell them to look at the first 80 pages and go, this guy who ended up winning awards later on in his life, that was as good as I was when they gave me my first job. I was incredibly mediocre the first day they gave me a job. So luckily they paid me to work 10 hours a day, and I just got a little bit better. The graph got better. So if you think of drawing as being a language, and my wife debates me on this subject. I think I can make anybody in this room a functional artist. I believe it. Now, I don't think I can make you a great artist, but I can make you a functional artist. All I need from you is for you to give me 8 hours of your life, 5-6 days a week, for 2 or 3 years. You'll be surprised at how good you'll be, right? Let's talk about the theory of drawing. Let's talk about this, because how many guys play Pictionary, right? And how many guys think that you suck at drawing, right? Some people play Pictionary, right? So here's the theory. Here's the theory of scientists, and I believe it. They say that your brain develops, and the moment you stop doing what you're doing, your brain stops developing. So in other words, if you were drawing a lot, because remember you used to go to school and you did a lot of art classes and a lot of things. Well, if I ask people who are like 40 and go, I can't draw a giraffe, and I say, well, when's the last time you actually concentrated on drawing? They'll say, well, when I was about 9 or 10 going into junior high. Okay? So that means that the last time you tried to draw on a regular basis, you were 10 or 11 or 12. So what the scientists are saying that measure our brains, they're saying that if you stopped really applying yourself at drawing at 12, just because you're 44, you don't magically get any better by doing nothing, right? So when you pick up that pencil to play Pictionary, your brain goes, where is it? Where's the information on drawing? And it goes through the Rolodex in your brain, and it goes, shoot, he stopped drawing way back here. This is as good as you are. So if you stop drawing at 12, when you pick up a pencil at 42, you're going to draw like a 12-year-old. It's that simple, right? So we know that to be true because if you actually, let's say, do golfing, and you stop golfing at 15, and you don't do it for 30 years, you don't get any better at golfing either by doing nothing, right? So the brain just goes back to the moment that's there. So anybody who goes, I can never draw, it's just because you didn't have the luxury like me of getting paid to do it 8 hours in your lifetime. So for me, when I was going through school, I didn't want to be a comic book guy. As a matter of fact, I didn't start collecting until I was about 16. And it wasn't until I was about 16, 17, I walked into a drugstore, a corner store, and they didn't have comic shops. That's how old I am these days. They didn't have comic shops back then. But they had spinner racks. some of the old folks remember spinner racks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and you know, God forbid all the collectors, because you actually got, remember the spine would get bent because you flipped through it to see if you had
Yeah.
that hook, right? So I bought 4 or 5 when I was 16, and that was it. I got hooked like that quick. And it also gave me a direction to go, hey, I had like 20 different styles, and I went, hey, let me try this American superhero style. And I just got crazy and applied it. I sent off over 700 samples over the next few years, got rejected over 350 times. You're gonna see, there's some pages in there that show some of the rejections on there, right? The other 350, I assume, went into the waste basket. But I tell people I had the greatest autograph collection. If you just ignore, Todd, you suck, don't send in any more samples, right? So I just would hide that, and I go, woohoo, I got Terry Austin's signature, that was awesome. And it was funny, for a long time, I used to keep that bag of rejections, and I used to bring them to events like this, because there was always a kid or two that would come in and say, oh, I've sent off some samples, maybe 3, and I've gotten no answers or no rejection. And I go, wow, kid, you're gonna have tougher skin than that. That's like being an actor. You're gonna go to 100 auditions before they give you that first crack. And I used to pour that bag out on the table, and I go, every one of those says, Todd, stop. Don't do it. Don't keep going. And as a matter of fact, when I got my first job, it was doing 10 pages in this book called Coyote. Marvel had this line called the Epic Line. I had sent off like 25 packages. And of those 25, I still got 15 rejections back, but one of them said, we'll give you a job. So as I was now officially working for Marvel Comics, because I got a job working in the Epic line, I was still later on getting rejection from the other editors at Marvel going, stop sending it, you're never working for Marvel Comics. And I was like, well, dude, I am, but cool. So I always tell the young aspiring people, you only need one person to like you. You don't need them all, you need one. Because once that person likes you, you got a job. And once you got a job, your foot's in the door. And once your foot's in the door, then it's on you to apply yourself. For me, I showed them that I wasn't great. I was mediocre at best, but I showed them that I could actually handle a monthly deadline. And if you can handle a monthly deadline in this industry, woo, you can draw a long time. You don't even got to be good, right? So, for some of you then to go, well, Todd, I don't know if I'm going to make it as a comic book artist or a writer or whatever else. Let me see if I can also give you some inspiration here too. I work in Hollywood sometimes, and I work in video games and these other divisions. And let's take video games. When I'm working on video games, I'm the art director. I have like 15 divisions. One division is the people who design the uniform. That's all they do, design uniform. The other division are the people who do all the humans. This next division does all the monsters. This division does all the mountains and all the scenery. This one does all the buildings. This one does the lighting. This one does the sound effects. There's some guy that all he does, a group of them, all they do is spell casting. You guys play video games, right? They can't draw. They can't create costumes. But man, when that guy goes, and he can build all the magic of that spell, woo, that's art. That's art. And and I tell people, watch Academy Award. You can win, everybody in this room can win an Academy Award, not for being Steven Spielberg and not for being Brad Pitt, for making the best sound in a movie. Okay, you're in Hollywood, you're good at something, you become the master of one category, right? Comic books is weird. You have to be able to do almost a little bit of everything. You got to be a jack of all trades, master of none. But there are plenty of other jobs that you can do. Don't put the pressure on yourself that you have to do all of it. If you can just be the best colorist or the best lighting person, you can make a good living in a lot of occupations artistically. So for any of you guys that want to get there, just see if you can find out where that skill is of yours and get in the door and turn it on. For me, again, did I ever have any aspirations of going beyond drawing comic books? Nah. You know, I was just a simple-minded guy, just wanted to do it. But at some point, when I broke in on penciling, and I got a little frustrated on the inking, right? I would draw lines, if you guys have seen pencils, and then the inkers would come in, and it's not, ladies and gentlemen, it's not that the inkers didn't do a good job. It was just pragmatic to me. I would draw like these these lines going left and right like this, and it was sort of indicating speed. And then the inker would come in, who'd been doing it for 20 years, he's pretty good, and he'd go, you know what, I like it better if I go sort of up and down. And it wasn't that one way was any better than the other. It was just this really sort of simple thing to me. If I wanted them to go up and down, I'm actually skilled enough to draw a line up and down. The reason I actually wanted to go, I drew it left and right, because it's crazy. I actually wanted to go left and right. That's why I drew it that way, right? So they would just look at your artwork and just arbitrarily change things, and I just went, wow, nobody's getting to see my style. So what I didn't feel that it wasn't until I got to start inking my own stuff that I really was able to bring the McFarlane look that I had in my brain and on paper for a while to the audience that was there, that I was able to go, this is what I want it to look like, and I was able then to refine that. If we talk about things like Spider-Man that helped make my career, then if we just talk about sort of comic books as a whole, one of the things that I did besides making the eyes bigger, and I did all this crazy webbing and on the costume, and I made the costume black, and I put the webs underneath the armpits again, because Ditko used to do that, and somehow they disappeared. I thought it was weird. And then I put them in these funky poses, right? They tried to emulate them when they were doing the first Spider-Man movie, and they just go, we can't do it. And the answer was because I just ignored anatomy when I mean, guys, it's an easy one, right? So they even brought in, because I knew a couple guys who worked on the movie, they even brought in some of the people from Vegas, the Circus du Soleil people, to go into, and they still couldn't get into the poses, which is why they just had to go, let's just CG the poses because it's not working right. So, but the other thing that I worked on was the webs, right? And the webs that went around them, almost like a cowboy. I always treated it as sort of like a cowboy lasso. And the reason that I did that, the reason I did all that, was because, and again, I don't know how old some of you guys are here, but remember how it used to be? It used to be like 3 lines, and then they used to put X's in it? That was how the webs were done for decades and decades, which was functional if you went left and you went right. But it wasn't functional if you wanted to shoot it towards that camera right there, right? And some guys would try it, and it just meant that the lines got bigger and the X's got bigger, and it looked dorkier and dorkier as it came towards camera. So my thought was twofold. One, how do I make it so if I'm shooting it towards that camera right here, that it actually looks like something? And two, the most important thing, if you're going to draw, is that we are given a two-dimensional piece of paper, and we have to create the illusion of 3D. And the only way you can create the illusion of 3D is you have to create depth. And the only way you can create depth, and I'm going to bore you because we have to do this in school, was you have to have different planes. And the only way you have different planes is you got to just put stuff in there. So let's do one real quickly. Okay, I draw Spider-Man, here's his head. Boom. Right? But then I put his hand up, and then I put his hand up, and I kinked the wrist. Why did I kink the wrist? Because you got one plane going here and one plane going here. And if you really crank those fingers so they look like they got arthritis, you get 2, 3, 4. So just on the hand, I got 5 planes. Now, if I put the hand in front of the face, your intellect will tell you, oh, there must be depth because my arm's in front of the face and it's hiding part of my face. If I put my shoulder back, so I'm hiding part of my shoulder, then you go, oh, the arm's in front of the face, and the face in front of the neck, and the neck is hiding the shoulder, and then I see a peekaboo of the hand. So all of a sudden now you're going 1, 2, 3 layers, right? Simple terms, foreground, midground, background. Okay, well now I was done with all that, and then I put the foot up in that crazy pose, and I do some crazy stuff. But Spider-Man didn't have a cape. And the easiest thing to create volume and to create space was a cape, right? Why do you think Spawn's cape is so big? It just takes up a lot of room. I don't got to draw a building.
Yeah.
It's true. When you guys got deadlines, right? You guys go, oh, cool style. I'm going, no, I got deadlines, dude. So the other part is once I took that body and I twisted Spider-Man's body all over the place, then I would take the webbing and I would make it go, if you guys remember, go in the front and the back and through his legs and around and around. And all it did was create more volume, more illusion of different planes, and that was it. That was the whole trick. Oh, by the way, I never understood, because I used to watch spiders. Spiders actually spin webs and crawl up them, right? I never understood why Spider-Man just goes swing and then let it go, swing and let it go. And so to me, it should have been shoot, climb, and as he climbed, it sort of wrapped up, and then he'd go and he'd jump to the next one, and it just seemed a little more dramatic in doing what it did. I got in trouble. Let me tell you, all those things I did that you guys are now buying books and that I ended up winning awards on, I got called into the principal's office a lot of times because that was their icon, right? You don't mess, Todd. What are you messing with Spider-Man for? What are you messing with Spider-Man? And I always kept telling them, I go, look, I'm not doing it because I think that everybody who did it before was wrong. That wasn't even part of it. I'm just doing it because it's just different. It's just a different way of approaching this character, right? There's no thing. So I used to liken it to, if I say everybody on Saturday, 10 o'clock at 123 Main Street, we're having a party, right? All you guys live in different places. I'm assuming you're going to take about 50 different ways, but at 10 o'clock, you're all going to get to that house and that address. I don't care what direction and how you got there, as long as the end goal is you got there for the party. They couldn't at times sort of accept that. They thought because I was taking a different route to the finish line, which was a monthly comic book, that somehow I was saying that their route was wrong, that the way they got to the party was stupid. And I'm like, I don't care how you got to the party, really, in all honesty. This is just how I'm drawing. This is how it is. And I used to have these silly conversations where I'm going, dude, at the end of the day, you don't got to like me, you don't have to like my style, you don't have to like anything about it, but you hire me to do one thing, and that's to sell comic books, and I'm doing it better than anybody in the country. I don't, it seems weird that you're having a conversation with me, you might want to get the guy next to me who sells less than me. But they just kept bringing me in, and that was eventually why I just got exhausted, and I ended up sort of moving on. I was going to become a father and do those other things. And then all of that sprouted my crazy ambition from being a penciler or inker. I did a little bit of writing. And the reason I wanted to write, not because I had anything to say, ladies and gentlemen, not because I thought I was a great writer, but because I got to draw now I get to write the characters I want. When you're drawing for a writer, guess whose characters he's putting in that book? His favorite characters, of course he is, right? Oh, Todd, I like that guy. Can you draw him? Oh, Todd, can you draw that? And so I just wanted to write and put in the characters I thought would be cool on paper. That was it. That was my biggest reason for going out there and becoming a writer. After that, when we took off and we started Image Comics, you know, the toys and the movies, and all that was just a byproduct of that we now own the characters and we own the IP. And all of a sudden now we had to take charge of it, and good, bad, or indifferent, each one of it at Image Comics, there were 7 of us that started. We just decided individually what we were or weren't going to do with each one of our characters. And I just got a few breaks. Some of the breaks I made myself. I spent my own money. I put it into companies, started the toy companies, did some other things, and let me just tell you, I was never a guy that would ever sit by the water cooler and complain. I was never that guy. Probably the greatest words of advice I ever got in life, much to the chagrin of my mom and dad, came from a commercial. And the commercial, I remember, I was like, oh my God. And I was probably about 6 or 7, and I just went, oh, and he changed my life. And it was this big fuzzy bear. And he looked at me in the screen, and he went, only you can prevent forest fires. and what that meant was, it's on me. And so I was like, oh, I don't like my job? Quit. I don't like my boss? Leave. I don't like the weather in the city I'm in? Move. I don't like the person I'm dating? Drop them. I don't want to be called a drunk? Put down the alcohol. I don't want to be called a pedophile? Stay away from kids. I don't want to be called a wife beater? Put your hand down. There's a lot of things in life that are in your control, ladies and gentlemen. We like to play victim a lot. So I didn't want to sit by the water cooler and have a lot of artists do that. They sort of complain about corporate. I just said, dude, I'm just going to quit, and I'm just going to do it myself. Either I accept corporate and shut my mouth, or I'm going to do something about it, and I was just wired to go and do something about it. So it's really sort of the basis of doing it. So I didn't think that the toy people were going to give me what I wanted, so I had to start a toy company. I didn't have any great aspiration to be an entrepreneur and to do all this stuff. It was just, everything that I do is just a byproduct and having a way for me to channel art. That's it. And so, and it bugs me, I gotta tell you, it bugs me every day I'm doing business because, or every hour I'm doing business because I am fully aware that's an hour I wouldn't be an artist. But if it means that doing that, being bilingual now as an artist and as a businessman allows me to get the art when and where I want it, then that's a price I have to pay. And so I go, okay, and now we're here. So has it been fun the whole ride? Nah, I'll give you some good stories. Just wait for the true memoir, right? I've got lots of lawyer talks, lots of lawyer conversations. But again, I'm 50 years old now, and I've been at this thing for almost 30 years, and I just go, it's been a good life. I gotta tell you, it's been a good life. So if any of you ever had the chance to go out there and start your own business, I don't care what it is, it's not bad. It's not bad. And the worst that happens is you fail. And you go back doing what you were doing before, right? So if you deliver milk and it's driving you crazy, go open up that kite store that you were thinking about, and if it doesn't work, I'm sure they'll give you your milk job back, right? That's an easy one. That's an easy one. So don't worry about it. You can go work at Texaco. If you came from Texaco, but now you want to do mural painting, I'm sure you can get another job at another oil company when you go back. So I highly recommend, if any of you are even thinking about it, to make the leap. Because here's the definition between a true entrepreneur and somebody who thinks about it. The employee, and I got lots of them, they're great, and they make me look good every day. But the employee, they say, jump off a cliff. And the employee goes up to the cliff. Oh, it's kind of far, isn't it? And they're going, yeah, but there's a mattress down there. But, well, how big's the mattress? How many mattresses are there? Well, what if I miss the mattress? Is it going to hurt when I hit the mattress? And there's all the doubt and all the questions that go into it. The entrepreneur is the guy who starts businesses. They go, jump off the cliff. First thing we do, we back up because we want to get a good run. Right? We want to make sure we get as far out as possible. And we go and we jump. And about halfway down, we go, duh! I wonder if there's a mattress. we don't even think, you don't even think about failure until you're like halfway across the field. You don't even think about it. And then you go, oh, good, I guess there's a little bit of a safety landing there. Okay, I mean, so that really is the difference, right? If you hesitate and you're questioning and then you might not be wired for it, right? But if you're just crazy enough to just go, screw it, I think it's going to work, right? Gotta be a little loopy. That's okay, right? A little insanity goes a long way. Dumb luck and a little bit of insanity and some stubbornness, it's a pretty good combo, right? Don't teach your kids those three. But so, anyways, after 20 years, and if you do all that and you work very hard, 10 hours a day, and you put in 20 years, you get 1 inch on a binder. So I got to put another 20 years to get 2 inches, I guess. I got to live as old as Stan Lee to be able to have that much to my buddy. And the one thing that Batman won't do, just kill him. If you kill him, there will be no more dead people. Right? So Spawn is that guy. I've always said Spawn is basically Batman without corporate America on it. He just goes, you kill 3 children, you're dead. Because I will not allow you to kill a 4th and a 5th one. And if they don't want to take care of you, and the system can't take care of you, I'll take care of you. And I got to tell you, I got 3 children, I do the same damn thing. If the guy down the end of the street keeps getting out and keeps taking care of children, at some point, I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I'll do it myself. I'll protect my own children. I don't get why Batman doesn't want to protect his citizens instead of being a do-gooder, but we'll leave that to But let me also tell you, out of all the superheroes, Batman's the coolest. Besides Spawn, he's the coolest to me, right? I like Spawn, I'm biased. I'm just saying. I like Batman over a guy like Superman, because Superman was like a Boy Scout to me. He came out, he was always yes man, no man. He'd help the old lady cross the street. He did, and I never felt there was any jeopardy. Like the guy's out of the bank shooting him. I go, this is a guy that can take Mars and spin it like Michael Jordan on his finger. And I go, why is a bullet going to scare him? There's no jeopardy. Theoretically, Batman, you push him out of a window, he hits the ground, he's flat, he's dead, right? And I just thought it was cool that Batman would sit there and he's good looking, and the chicks want to date him, and he's got lots of money, and he can drive fast cars, and he says, no, I want none of that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna go home from a long day at the office and I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna wait and wait and wait until about 3 o'clock, and then I'm gonna go put this black coffee on and scare the shit out of the bathroom. And I relate way more to that dude. I'm just going, go get him, right? He's just not putting up, he's the guy who's not putting up with it a little bit. He's just like going, give me the costume outfit, it's time. It's time to basically just go and scare them as much as they scare us, right? So, I've faced plenty of bullies in my life. My wife said I'm gonna get killed by a bully, right? But a bully doesn't understand when you're not afraid, right? So I'll give you a quick anecdote, real sort of silly thing. I knew somebody who raised cheetahs, and the way that the cheetah killed is they used to bring in deer, and they used to let the deer go. And the way that cheetah killed is that the deer runs in fear, and that cheetah goes, and it comes right up next to it, and it gets a little bit ahead, and it goes, bam, and it breaks its front legs, and it goes down, and boom, there's dinner time. What the deer doesn't know is that the cheetah is incapable of killing anything that's not moving. All the deer had to do was stop, and the cheetah would have been messed up, right? So using that theory, here's what messes up the bully, because I've done it plenty of times. Ah, Todd, I'm going to clean your cloth. You know, they don't even know who I am because they're just being bullied. And you walk towards them, right? They need you to go back because you're the one that's afraid. And then I even open my hands, right? You go up to a bully like this, right? And they're like this. You're giving them an opening. Oh, come on, I'll clean your clock. And they use bigger words than that, and dirtier words than that. I'm not gonna kid you. So
I got a kid.
And I just go throw it. Throw the first punch. Throw the first punch. And you walk towards them, and you know what they do? They start backing up. Now, my wife always says to me, how do you know, Todd, they don't have a gun? And I go, how do they know I don't have a bazooka? Right? Because somewhere, the bully is going, why is the guy that's half my size not afraid of me? Something's wrong with that dude, right? He got some big brothers. He's got a cannon. He knows the chief of police. Something's wrong. I mean, it just messes them up. It messes them up. They need you to back away and cower. So for me, that's why I thought Batman was kind of cool, because he just goes, we're going to scare them as much as they scare us. Yep, let's do it.
We've been seeing a lot of other characters in film, DC characters and Marvel characters. Yep. Any chance we're going to see Spawn or some Image characters in film?
We don't control. I don't control any of the other Image books. As a matter of fact, let's just talk about Image for a minute. Image Comics owns nothing, right? We own nothing. We don't own any IP, right? You come to us with your character. We take a flat fee to publish and solicit the book for you, to collect the money for you, to work with the printers for you, and the rest is on you. And if you can go get a deal with Steven Spielberg, knock yourself out, right? It's the best deal in the business, I'm telling you by far. With Spawn, you guys know that Disney bought Marvel, right?
Yes.
And so this is actually a good moment for a lot of people in our industry, because Disney bought Marvel, so all those characters are going to come off the street. And then DC has always been off the street because Warner Brothers controls it. So that's their corporate father, if you will. So those two characters are off. So all of a sudden, companies like Paramount and Sony and Fox and Universal, they're locked out of those two big guys. So they've actually been buying a lot of independent comic books. So any of you guys that think that independent comic books isn't the route, you're wrong, because there's a gulf that's in there. Have they been knocking on my door? Every week they knock on my door, right? And I go to the meeting. I got one tomorrow. And they tell me, here's the $100 million Spawn movie. I don't buy it, right? My conversation's the same, and I'm stubborn, and I've been working on it. And the only reason it's not done is because I got a busy life, and I like to coach my kid a lot of baseball. But I walk in there, and after they give me their speech, I go, no, here's how it's going to work. I write, produce, and direct it, and it's about a $10 to $12 million budget movie. It's R-rated, and there's no special effects, nominal special effects, and it just will scare the hell out of you. It's just going to be a supernatural scare movie. That it just, when you see the commercial, you go, "Duh, what the hell was that?" I got 2 daughters, and they love those movies. They go to every single one. Oh my gosh, God, The Ring, The Grudge, the Red Eye scares the crap out of them. I mean, everything. Insidious, they go, and so they, for years they went, "Dad, you never make anything for us." So it's going to be a movie in which in which, if you guys like the movie The Departed, it's gonna look and feel like The Departed, but every now and then, the shadow's gonna move. There's not gonna be any supervillain, there's not gonna be any hell or heaven, all that's gone. When I was a kid, the movies I grew up on were The Exorcist, The Omen. All these movies were, even to some extent, the black and white Draculas and werewolves. And the thing that was consistent with all those movies was that there was only one thing that was not normal in those movies.
Yep.
Right? The little girl with the spinning head, and that was a big non-normal, but everything else in that city was just like today. Right? And Damien was a crazy little guy,
Yep.
but everything else was normal in that movie. Wait Until Dark, Rosemary's Baby, all of it was just, there was only one thing that was odd. Even in The Grudge and The Ring, there's only one little sort of thing that's moving in the background. And the moment they took, even Frankenstein, Igor was hunched over and sort of odd looking, and it was a crazy professor that they called the mad scientist, but they were both human. And the moment they came out with Frankenstein Frankenstein's Bride, I was done. I was like, there's two of them? They took away the originality of it. I gotta tell you, that's why I didn't like Iron Man 2. I go, wow. So I just want to get this. I want to get this. You're going to tell me that there's this Iron Man. You want me to spend my money on Iron Man because he's the coolest. Then in the middle of that second movie, you're going to give me a second Iron Man. So it's not even original. And the second guy kicks the shit out of the first guy, sort of like. Then kick the crap out of the first guy. So he's not even now, not only is he now not original, he's not even the toughest Iron Man on the screen. I can't do it. That's why Batman at the end, in the first edition, it fell apart when they had, remember the last one, you guys remember? Batman, Robin,
Yep.
Batgirl, Mr. Freeze, the Riddler, Poison Ivy, and I'm probably missing one or two more.
Two-Face.
Right, all in one movie. And I'm just going, no. He is just going to be a sentient being, and there's only a couple people who are going to think that he even exists, and a couple of those are not quite sure about their own personal sanity because they're going to be at a low point in their life. And every now and then this shadow is just going to go, and it's just going to mess some people up. Now, when I pitched that to the studio executives, they go, Hozek, Todd, I just want to get this right. You're telling me that Spawn isn't going to talk in the movie you're writing. That's correct, sir. Okay, Todd. So just take a step back. So how are you going to make a movie where the title character says nothing? Well, when I was a kid, there was a small movie I watched. It was this kind of tiny movie. You might have seen it. And it was called Jaws. And that title character, that last time I checked, that title character didn't utter one word. And I still went to it, and the movie still worked. So he is just going to be my Jaws. And when you see that cockroach scurry across, that's the same thing that was in that movie. That you go, get out of there, trouble's coming. And if you're a bad dude, and you got evil in there, like you had better come because a shark is coming. It's just that it looks different, right? I don't have my, I should have brought my bag. I could have shown you what he looks like. I've actually got them all drawn up. You're never going to see a guy in a rubber suit. It's just going to be this guy that is just going to come, and every now and then he melts in, he comes out, and he's just on you, and you're gone. And you're going to go, hopefully, my daughters go, oh my God, scary movie, and then there's the other portion in America that go, that was Spawn, that's kind of cool, man. And I'll get both of them, and we'll have some success. And if you make a movie for $12 million, tough to fail, right? You make a movie for $100 million, they're never going to let me direct it, first off, right? You make a $12 million movie, they hire schmuck directors. I go, let me be the schmuck, right?
Yep.
So we'll do it. I've got an Academy Award-winning actor who's been to my office, who's phones about every 2 weeks, him and his agent's gone, is it done, Tom? Is it done, Tom? Because he came and pitched me his idea, Spawn. I go, just come to the office. I wanted to show him all the stuff that I had. And then I go, let me tell you how I see it and how you could be in this movie for the next 20 years. And then once I convince him on that one, he's like, okay, we're in. So we'll get there. I'm halfway through the script. We'll get there, and then we'll bring out the animation. The animation's all teed up right now. So,
one more question?
One more question. The best question of the
Really
night.
good.
Huh?
Really good question.
Oh, good. Yeah, it had to be really good. Is that really good? Or is it incredible? incredibly mediocre, she's putting the pressure on
You
you.
say small budget horror movie, kick-ass story, but why can you try the route of going, let's say, with Robert Rodriguez?
Yeah, oh yeah, I can do all of them. But the reason Robert Rodriguez did those kinds of movies, because he just did what I'm saying, I'm gonna go do it myself, he just did it. It's just guerrilla filmmaking, just go do it. You know, you don't need a lot, I mean, again, I'll need the odd special effect, but people say, oh, who's the bad guy, who's this, who's that, and all that's gone. All that's gone. Again, I mean, think about it, when you watch again the movie The Ring or something like that, you know, how much real special effects is in that movie, right? It's a lot of
Just the
music,
end.
a lot of anticipation, a lot of stuff, right? I mean, Alfred Hitchcock described how you get people's hearts going. And again, to me, it's suspense. It's not horror, right? I was never a big fan of like Freddy Krueger and stuff like that. That's just slasher stuff. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about stuff that your palms get sweaty and you're going, okay. And so Alfred Hitchcock described it like this. What you do is you take a loving husband and wife or a couple that are dating or something like that, and you put them in the restaurant, and then what you do is you show the audience, the ticking bomb underneath the table, right? So they know that there's jeopardy. The couple doesn't know the bomb is there. You do as the audience. You know it's there. And then you set it for 10 minutes. Tick, 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 tick. And you're the audience going, oh my God, we're down to 2 minutes. You'd better get going. It's going to blow up. Let's go, let's go. And they just get ready to get up. And you go, whoa, they're going to get it. And then they go and they go, you sure you don't want any dessert? Yes, I will have dessert. And they sit back down. And you go, no. Now we're down to a minute and a half. You can't sit down. You can't. And that's all he wants to do is he just wants you to get vested in it and to get your heart racing going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, right? So I'll give you a quick scene and then we'll be done. If you know that the killer is the funny little guy at the library that works at the library, never invite him to the house. Of course, in this scene, he comes and ding dong, and it's a rainy night, and he's going, here, Mrs. Johnson, you forgot your book. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. It's raining, why don't you come in? Don't! We know he's the killer! Don't bring him in! He stabs people, we've already established he stabs people. And then you sit there and you go, would you like some coffee? Yeah. Okay, fine. How about some cake? Oh, I'll get you some cake. And you bring the cake and you bring a big knife to cut it. And you put the knife there and you go, oh, I forgot to get you your sugar for the coffee. And she leaves. And now you leave and you go, don't leave the knife with the dude. Oh my God. And now what you do is you take the camera here, and as she's getting the sugar, that blurry figure comes in the background slowly, and you're going, oh, the psycho's coming. She left the knife. Get out of there, Matilda. Get out of there, Matilda. And she turns and she goes, and you jump at that moment, and he says, could I have two tablespoons of sugar? And he goes and sits down. And the whole time, you're palpitating, and you're sweating, and nothing happens. Right? That's just good storytelling. You don't have to cut people's heads off. So, 2 go ahead, Carl.